For coming, especially considering the alternatives, such as they may be. This is our email address for comments, correspondence, and feedback. Website for more information. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Abhinanti Vedantasya Vedanta Salakya Tatsurin Nehitam Nena Tashma Sri Veda Viha Sri Chaitanya Manopi Stam Stapitam Nena Bhutare Swayam Rupa Karanam Vedati Swaparantikam. I actually thought about this title and in my mind I changed it. Servant is special. Servant is special. Every one of us has dreams and God-given goals in our hearts, promises that we're hoping for. Maybe a child, turn around, make better decisions. Personally, to get healthy again, get over that chronic long-term illness so you can serve better in your temple family. Start a business to donate money to the mission, personally get out of debt. And deep down we know that that's planted in you by God, whom we call Krishna, and birthed on the inside, but sometimes it takes a long time, sometimes there's difficulties, sometimes there's dead ends, sometimes there's delays, and in the course of all of that, we can start second-guessing ourselves, thinking, did I really get it right? Start thinking negatively. It's not going to happen after all. God is impartial. We're all equal in God's eyes, so why should He give me any special consideration, special success above and beyond others? And this is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvaham sarvabhuteshu samam dve dvisham me na priyaha. He confirms His impartiality by saying all living beings are my children, not just humans, but aquatics, insects, mammals, birds. So I'm equally disposed to all creatures and human beings and demigods, just like any father is equally disposed to all of his children. But also, like any father, if one of the children is particularly on the father's wavelength, particularly synced with the father, sometimes such a child knows what the father wants and goes ahead and does it without the father having to undergo the humiliation of asking. That's a really good son. Krishna says, to such of my children, I give special favor. And that's what we're going to talk about today, the special favor that you invoke when God's first place in your life. Prabhupada says here, the Lord promises to maintain His devotees, and such devotees never doubt the word of the Lord. There's a poignant example of this found in the Krishna literature, particularly the Srimad Bhagavatam, about Krishna's own charioteer, whose name was Daruka. In the Vishnu Purana, as well as various sections of the Mahabharata, it's mentioned that Daruka did not just simply drive the Lord's chariot, but he was so absorbed, he was so much the penultimate servant of the Lord, that the Lord granted him special favor in a couple of different ways. Now think about it. You're driving a chariot in the heat of battle. There's no time for niceties. You've got 2 or 4 powerful horses, and in order to get them to turn left or right, you have to put your whole body weight into that. Moreover, your opponents are going to target you particularly because they figure if they take the charioteer out, they're going to neutralize the much more dangerous warrior who's driving. Then you also have to feed the warrior weapons and ammunition and arrows and so on and so forth. You have to be alert to the command of the warrior whom you're ferrying at all times. And there's no time for niceties. The warrior's going to say, stop, left, right. You have to respond to that. So can you begin to see how the position of charioteer is the ultimate position of service? Krishna himself took that same position in connection with his own devotee Arjuna during the battle of Kurukshetra. But when God himself wants to portray himself in the best position of servitude, he takes the role of the charioteer. Now, Daruka is the main charioteer of Krishna. He wasn't present at Kurukshetra, but otherwise the Lord came to annihilate the miscreants, so there were a number of altercations in which Daruka was driving the chariot of the Lord. And those horses were endowed with supernatural speed, and himself was untouched by the chaos. It's not that Daruka didn't get wounded. He got wounded many times. But Lord granted him such special mercy that he was always functioning. No matter what arrows were sticking out of his body here and there, he was always standing upright, and he remained sensitive and compliant with the commands of the Lord. He's given that supernatural strength at a time when, logically speaking, he should have collapsed over and over and over again. Now, Krishna is called Rishikesha. That means he's the puppet master of all of our senses. And when he grants special favor, what happens is that he can switch off that experience of pain or that tendency towards disability. Just like a father during a medical procedure might hold the hand of his young son so that that son feels only the grip of the father's hand and not the pinching or the sting of the needle. But the specific point here is that Krishna acted as a protector, not because Daruka was a big king or influential person or had an aristocratic birth or was a scholar or a yogi, but he was given this special favor, special protection by the Lord because his only desire was to serve Krishna and to see Krishna and Krishna's cause emerge victorious. But later on, when Krishna quit his own pastimes, he wound up the Yadu dynasty. All the members of the Yadu dynasty gathered at a place of pilgrimage called Prabhas, and there was a fratricidal battle there where they basically killed each other, allowing their spirits to go back to from where they came, the higher planets in the spiritual world. And then later on, Krishna's city, Dwaraka, which was built off of the coast of Gujarat into the ocean, became inundated by waves of devastation. Krishna put Dwaraka aside not to have to face either one of those cataclysmic events. He sent Daruka to Hastinapur to report to Arjuna and the 5 Pandavas about the departure of the Yadu dynasty and the devastation of Krishna's capital city, Dwaraka. That was Krishna's special favor to his special servant. But the story of Daruka is an example of this. That even when an entire city or an entire dynasty is fated for destruction, Krishna can pluck at his will a particular individual out of that timeline. Why? Because Krishna is called Kala. Krishna is also known as time personified. He can create a bypass, an exemption, a waiver for someone who keeps in first place, ensuring that they are not swept away by the same devastation that takes everyone else. And this is Krishna's stated purpose for descending in the Bhagavad Gita. Parijanaya sadhanam vinasya dharma samstapaya sambhavami sambhi. I come to annihilate the demons. That's one purpose. But the tendency of demons is to fight with each other and annihilate themselves. That's not the main reason Krishna comes. He comes to protect, to give special favor, and to give pleasure to his devotees. And that he did in the case of Daruka. Now we have a radio station, and oftentimes in the course of compiling material for these talks, it occurs to me, I have enough for a song for our radio station. So this is a byproduct which I want to share with you. You should be able to read everything out there on the screen as well. In the golden city of Dwaraka, where the ocean meets the shore, a devotee found a protection that nobody could ignore. Beyond the reach of karma, beyond the laws of man, a specialized department of the Lord's eternal plan. Strap in for the journey, keep your vision on the light. Here's the story of a driver who was shielded in the fight. Whenever Krishna rode to war with Daruka at the heel, he was wrapped in a protection more profound than any steel. The arrows came in thousands, whistling through the air. The enemy was aiming, looking for a weakness there. And though the sharpest iron were piercing now and then, he stood amidst the chaos, the most resilient of men. An invisible shield of grace, a barrier of light, kept his heart from feeling distress in the middle of the fight. No disability, no trauma, no lingering pain, because the Lord's protection falls like cooling summer rain. But the greatest favor happened when the dynasty was through, when the iron curse was finished and the sky turned black and blue. As the dynasty was in turmoil and the city started to slide, Krishna told his driver, "I am always by your side. Go now to the Northland, carry news of what you saw. You're exempt from the destruction and the closing of the law." While the wave of destruction rose to drown the golden street, Daruka found his safety at the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. A witness to the finale, but protected at the end, because the King of Kings will always recognize a friend. He'll make a way when it looks like a wall. He's the safety net whenever you fall. From the chariot seat to the ends of the earth, he knows what a humble servant is worth. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow the same. There's power and grace in the sound of the name. Wounded but not broken, tested but not beat, walking through the fire but never feeling the heat. That's the anugraha, the special favor for the soul, when you give the Lord the reins and let him take control. So let it sink deep, let the message let the message take hold, a story of loyalty that's more precious than gold. He is faithful to the end, through the wind and the rain, removing the fear, dissolving the pain. That's one of 20,000 songs on radio, KHKD 1480. But what's our takeaway? That if we do our part and simply trust him, then it means that even though the situation looks impossible, you will not let your mind, your feelings, your emotion, or other people talk you out of your God-given dreams. You will be faithfully convinced that in due season, God will bring that dream to pass. After all, he put it there in the first place. And he is faithful. What he starts, he will finish. He's with his devotees in the past. He's with us in the present. And we shouldn't doubt that he'll also be with us in the future. Now, our endeavor may not turn out exactly as we expected. It may not happen on our timetable. But ultimately, he will not disappoint or let down those who keep in first place. So let this sink down on the inside of you this afternoon. God brought you here tonight to hear me say, I will not fail you. Everything is going to work out because I'm in complete control. God knows the medical report. He sees your balance sheet. He sees the people who are coming against you. He knows how big your dreams are. Now, read my lips. Krishna is saying to you, I will not fail you. I'll always make a way, even when it seems like there is no way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He will vindicate the wrongs. He will pay you back for unfair situations. He will fulfill the innermost desires of your heart. 1991, this area in which we're sitting was just barren land of sagebrush and clay. And we needed an additional $8,000 to complete a $25,000 down payment on this land. And we only had a few days to do it. We had no money, no prospects, no hope in the natural. But we did have a lama at that time named Shami. Now, one name for Krishna is Sham because his color is like the color of a monsoon cloud during the rainy season. And the word to describe that is Sham. So we had a steel gray lama who was female, so we called her Shami. And out of nowhere, Brian Summerhays, who owns a string of music stores from here to Ogden, came looking for a llama. And he asked, we're leaning over the fence, and I'm saying, this one's 3,000, this one's 4,000, this one's 2,500. And without giving a single glance to any of the other llamas, he said, how much is that one? And I didn't even, and Krishna just caused the words to come out of my mouth. We never saw the llama for even half that much before, but I just said $8,000. He came along exactly when we needed him. He paid more than twice as much for that llama as we'd ever sold a llama before. When the situation looked impossible, in a supernatural way, makes a good story, right? 25, 20, 30 years later, makes a really, really good story. He made the impossible possible because we were just trying to sincerely serve him in our own way. Prabhupada says here, now if you work in even an ordinary man's service, will he not give you protection? Medical, dental, unemployment, social security, yada, yada, yada. So then do you not think that if you work for God, the supreme controller, the creator of millions and millions of universes, that he's going to deny you, begrudge you, protection of the highest order? And then Prabhupada says, it is because you have no faith that you are looking for protection elsewhere. God is offering Sarvadhamma Parikyaga, full protection in the Bhagavad Gita. Your society will not protect you in the end. Your bank balance will not protect you. Your family will not protect you. They will all be washed away eventually in the waves of time. We know our great-grandfather, grandmothers are gone. Our grandmother and grandfathers are gone. Many of our fathers and mothers are also gone. Similarly, you will be gone. Your bank balance will be gone. Your truck will be gone. Your gun collection will be gone. In due course of time, your country itself will be gone. Therefore, a sober, sane person will conclude that none of them can give me ultimate protection. Only God can give it, and God is essentially on bended knee asking you to take it. Krishna says, my devotee is never vanquished. Therefore, the best thing is to take up seriously the service to God, whom we call Krishna, to wholeheartedly surrender unto him and invoke his full protection. Surrender 5%, you get 5% protection. Surrender 40%, you get 40% protection. Surrender 100%, and you get 1,000,000% supernatural protection. Otherwise, there isn't an option. None of the other temporary things can give us the protection. Prabhupada goes on, people are so mad. They think their friends, relatives, fallible soldiers will give them protection. They do not see that everything will be finished, annihilated. So many friends, my father, my mother, my uncle, my teachers, they will all die. Everyone will die. How is it that if they can't protect themselves, they're going to be able to protect you? Because of thinking of the protection of this body, we have no knowledge of the soul. How we give protection to the soul, the living force within the body, that's the subject matter of spiritual life. The body will inevitably be destroyed. The bodies of all others will inevitably be destroyed. It's said tide and time, wait for no man. So where is the protection? You live in a nice state with a nice income, with a nice body, and a nice family, with a nice wife and nice children, but none of them can protect you when the hour of death comes. No one can protect you except God. In the 1960s, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, arrived in America. He was living in a narrow room in New York City, struggling to establish Krishna consciousness in North America. He had a desire to type out his manuscript for the Bhagavad Gita and get it printed. So for months, he was two-finger typing in this little loft somewhere downtown New York City, and at one point a thief broke in and not only stole the manuscript, but stole his typewriter. So an old man coming halfway across the world with no money, no connections, no resource, now no manuscript, no typewriter, he should have been finished by that. Wouldn't you agree? That should have spelled defeat. However, God's special mercy appeared just at that point of time through a series of supernatural coincidences. Strangers who had just casually heard him chanting in the park. They pulled their money and they got him an apartment with a storefront in the front so that he could have meetings for the first time. A student came in one day, said, I'm at Groton College and I'm going to get credit for my courses if I offer my services to a nonprofit for the summer. They said, what can you do? He says, I can type 150 words a minute. That same afternoon, one of Prabhupada's disciples walked in with a dictaphone that he picked up for $30 at a pawn shop. Can you see what's going on here? The supernatural, special favor of the Lord is invoked because Prabhupada had no other desire than to serve him, to spread God's mission here. Dictaphone, someone who run it, type 150 words a minute, a new temple, all in the heels of having everything wiped out, of having what little resources and what little work he'd done undone. In the next beat, he has a place to live, which is an upgrade. He has a place for meetings. He has a dictaphone so that he no longer has to type, but he can just speak the Bhaktivedanta purports. And he has someone for 3 months to type it all out at 150 words a minute. This is favor that comes to one, not because you go to church, not because you know scriptures, not because you donate, not because everyone looks at you and says, oh, he's such a religious person. None of that invokes this level of favor. This level of favor comes from having a relationship with the Lord. Not a religion, but a relationship. Prabhupada says here, pure devotees don't listen to thoughts of discouragement. They know the words of the Lord will defeat their enemies. The words of the Lord will cause them to overcome obstacles, to escape the danger. What God says is always true. It's what men say, which are lies. One devotee says, I'm going to believe in what Krishna says in spite of how I feel, in spite of what my mind is telling me, in spite of what logic is saying. I'm going to feel like what God says is true. I'm not going to be moved by what I see, discouraged by what I don't see, or give up because it's taking a long time. Lord, I know that you are 100% reliable, 100% of the time. Krishna, God, always has the final say. Our message today is, if you're doubtful, worried, upset, come back to that place of peace. Quit living stressed out, wondering if it's going to happen. God has you in the palm of his hand. He's not failed you in the past, nor he's going to begin to do so now. Dare to trust him. He will give you strength for every battle, wisdom for every decision, peace in the midst of everything. Our message is, put every negative thought aside, shake off every disappointment, knowing that if God is for you, who dare be against you? And if Krishna, God is saying yes, it really doesn't matter who's saying no, because God has the final say. He will stand by his devotees through thick and thin, break his own promises to keep his devotees safe, like he did with Daruka, like he did with Prabhupada, like he did with Vaibhavi and ourselves to create this beautiful temple that you're sitting in this afternoon. He will always bring his pure devotees out on top of the impossible situation, on top of the challenge, on top of the setback, on top of the betrayal. He will crown the sincere efforts of his devotees with victory. Now, why don't we listen? L, capital I, capital S, capital T, capital E, capital N. Listen to him, because he's saying to you in the Bhagavad Gita, the song of God, surrender fully, wholeheartedly, enthusiastically to me. I guess not everyone's interested in that surrender. Have no fear, have no hesitation. And if you do this, our message today is that Krishna, God, will give you protection in this life and the next life. He'll take you back to home, back to God. That's our message today. And if any of that resonates with you, you're welcome to raise your arms with me. And we can all say together, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for being here. Adi, do you want to lead the Artik ceremony? You're welcome to stand and stretch. Join us in the front of the room, so we're not all isolated up here. And the words are after a couple of prayers to the Guru, we will spend most of the next 10 minutes chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Krishna.